Early in the morning, I made a delicious and nutritious lunchbox and brought it to Chris Quinn. But just as I was about to open the door to his office, I froze at the sound of his words. Did Lily's surgery go well? His assistant, Bob, replied respectfully, Yes, Mr. Quinn, it was a success. The baby your wife just had is a perfect match for Miss Lily. Chris let out a light laugh, sounding completely at ease. Finally, this baby's bone marrow is a match for Lily's. If it wasn't, I'd have to kill him too. I stood there, completely paralyzed, my blood running cold. I couldn't believe what I had just heard. So, my 4 children who died, were they all killed by him? The entire time he was so eager to have children with me, it wasn't for our family. It was all to find a suitable bone marrow match for Nina Jasper's daughter? Tears began to fall uncontrollably, and I covered my mouth, trying not to make a sound. Just then, I heard Bob walking toward the door. I quickly ducked into the restroom to hide. My whole body was shaking. Suddenly, I thought of my son, Harvey, who was barely a month old. This morning, Chris told me he was taking Harvey to get his vaccinations and that I should stay home and rest. But now it was clear that he didn't take him for vaccinations. He took him to the hospital to donate bone marrow. Panicking, I rushed out, thinking I needed to go to the hospital immediately. But then I saw Bob carrying Harvey back into the office. I wiped my tears, trying to steady myself, and opened the door. Chris was holding Harvey, gently soothing him. I rushed over and snatched him out of his arms. Thankfully, Harvey seemed fine, just as sweet and calm as when he was born. Wifey, what brings you here? Chris's voice was soft as he pulled me into a hug. You haven't even finished your postpartum recovery yet. This was Chris, the man I had been married to for 6 years. For those 6 years, he had been nothing but kind to me. Whatever I wanted, he bought, and he always seemed to care about me. Right after we got married, he was the one who suggested we start having kids. In those 6 years, I had given birth to 5 children for him. 4 of them didn't make it. Each time, he comforted me, telling me we could always try again. So, I kept getting pregnant, kept having children for him. After losing 4, my health was deteriorating. The doctor warned me that having more children could be risky. But I still wanted to keep trying as I was desperate to have a child with him. Now, I finally knew the truth. He only wanted children with me for Nina's daughter. I just missed you too much, I said, my eyes red as I looked at him. I was usually pretty good at controlling my emotions, so I was able to hide my feelings well this time. Chris didn't sense anything wrong. He kissed my forehead. Let me take you home. I can't have my precious girl upset, he said, smiling as he held my hand and soothed Harvey. The whole drive home, I dug my nails into my thigh, forcing myself to stay calm. I thought about my 4 children, the ones I had carried for 9 long months and delivered with so much pain and love. They should have grown up healthy and happy. But Chris had taken their lives. I must get my revenge. As soon as I got home, I told Chris I was exhausted and took Harvey into the bedroom. In reality, I needed time to sort everything out. Why did Chris want to have children with me just to find a suitable bone marrow match? Logically, the chances of finding a match were slim. There was only one conclusion I could come to. Lily must be his biological daughter. That was why he thought having kids with me would increase the chances of a match with her. I glanced at the wall where photos of my 4 lost children hung. Wiping away a tear, I whispered, Don't worry, Mommy will get revenge for you. Someone once said that when you stopped letting love blind you, you would finally start to think clearly. Now I understood how true that was. In the days that followed, I focused on recovering. Once I was stronger, I used work as an excuse to have my mom take care of Harvey. The first thing I did after recovering was get closer to Nina. Nina was Chris's one true love. They had been together for 4 years, but for reasons I didn't know, they broke up. Right after that, Chris quickly married me. Looking back, it was clear his goal from the start was to have a child for the bone marrow. Nina was still in the hospital. I had overheard Chris mention she was at Hillview Hospital, so it didn't take me long to find her. When I arrived, I saw her in the hospital room, holding and kissing Lily. Lily, from now on, you'll be just like any other kid, she whispered. But her normalcy had come at the cost of my 5 pregnancies and the deaths of 4 of my children. A child was everything to a mother. And here I was, not even 30, and I had already lost 4 of mine. I clenched my fists, my heart filled with sorrow and anger. After pulling myself together, I walked into the room carrying a gift. Nina looked surprised to see me. "What are you doing here?" "I heard Lily found a suitable bone marrow match and the surgery went well. I came to check on her," I said softly. "You care all of a sudden?" Nina looked at me suspiciously. To be fair, we had argued more than a few times before. It was mostly because I had been jealous of how close she was with Chris. I had even caught them having dinner together a couple of times and made a scene. "I've thought it over. Chris only has you in his heart. I'm done fighting it. If you want to be Mrs. Quinn, I'll step aside." As I spoke, I discreetly pulled a strand of Lily's hair when Nina wasn't looking. Nina still wasn't convinced. "You loved Chris so much before. Now you're just giving up." "Because he doesn't love me, and I'm tired. If you don't believe me, you're welcome to stay at our house for a while. I won't get in your way." With that, I left. I knew she would take me up on it. Chris had already suggested letting her move in before, saying it was tough for a single mom to manage alone. But I had strongly objected, and it never happened. I took Lily's hair to a lab and had it tested against Chris's for a paternity test. An hour later, the results came back. Just as I suspected, Lily was his daughter. I gripped the paternity results tightly, my heart aching. I had loved Chris for so many years, but to him, I was nothing more than a tool to bear children. At least, the universe showed me his true nature before it was too late. When I got home, Chris had already made dinner. He was beaming and pulled me into a hug. "I heard you agreed to let Nina move in. Gemma, thank you for understanding." For the first time, I saw him smile so brightly. I hugged him back. "Take good care of her. As a woman, I understand how hard things must be for her." "Of course," he said, grinning. Just then, Nina arrived with Lily. Chris's face lit up with joy, and he scooped Lily into his arms. "Lily, I made you something delicious. Come and eat." He cared so much about Nina's child, but my 5 children didn't mean anything to him. In that moment, my heart shattered completely. Nina shot me a glance and whispered, "At least you know your place." I gave her a faint smile and replied, "You'd better work hard and win him over soon." That night, I expected Chris to spend the evening with Nina and Lily. But to my surprise, he came into our bedroom, holding me and trying to kiss me. "Babe, you finished your postpartum recovery. Can we?" "No, the doctor said I need at least 3 months to fully recover." I pushed him away. And honestly, I'm not in the mood. Every time I think about those 4 children, it breaks my heart. I pointed to the photos behind him. His pupils dilated, and his face turned pale as he got out of bed. "Why bring them up now? They're gone. Let's not dwell on it." He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. It was the first time he had ever lost his temper with me. I knew exactly why. He was scared. How could he not be, after causing the deaths of 4 children? As I lay in bed, I began to devise a plan. Chris didn't return that night, saying he would sleep in the guest room. Before long, I heard the door open. Quietly, I cracked open my door and saw him heading into Nina's room. Nina didn't waste any time. She was already trying to win him over. I tiptoed to her door and heard their muffled, intimate conversation. "Chris, I'm so happy I get to see you every day now. I've missed you so much." "Nina, I've missed you too. Hurry up and take your clothes off." Chris's voice was urgent. I slipped my phone through the crack in the door and recorded everything. The next morning, Nina sent me a few pictures of her and Chris looking all cozy and intimate. With a smug tone, she said to me, "See? Chris only has eyes for me." "Congrats." I replied. "Looks like you'll have him all to yourself soon." But I knew Chris wouldn't divorce me that easily. After all, my family was still funding his projects. He wouldn't dare. Just then, Chris walked over, and Nina instantly shut up. I quickly wrapped my arm around his. Honey, tomorrow's Sunday. How about we go do an escape room together? He hesitated for a moment before finally saying, sure. I smirked to myself. He was falling right into my trap. Nina shot me an angry look but kept quiet. The next day arrived, and Chris drove us to the escape room. We had done escape rooms together plenty of times before, but he always insisted on teaming up with others. He was a bit of a scaredy cat. This time, the theme was recovering our children. It was about a couple searching for their deceased children, so 2 players were all we needed. Chris turned pale the moment he heard the theme. Gemma, maybe we should pick something else. I pouted. No way, I really want to do this one. Don't worry, I'll protect you. He didn't have a choice, so he reluctantly agreed. As soon as we walked in, we heard the sound of a baby crying. Chris immediately dropped to his knees, trembling. I yanked him up. Honey, this is just the first level. The NPCs haven't even shown up yet, and you're already this scared? I'm fine. He quickly stood up, clearly shaken. But this was just the beginning. I had already talked to the staff to make it extra intense. The second level involved a solo task, so I sent Chris off on it. It wasn't long before I heard his terrified screams. A chorus of children's voices cried out, Daddy, give us back our lives. Panicking, he kept shouting, stay away. I didn't hurt you. Then he passed out from fear. I had him taken to the hospital, and when he woke up, he swore he would never do another escape room again. I just smiled and said, sure. It didn't matter. If he didn't want to play in escape rooms, I would just dress up and haunt him at home. I was going to make sure he was tormented every single night, forced to remember our lost children. That night, I dressed up and carried a fake baby into his room. I had already cut the power, and Nina was out for the evening. When Chris saw me, he screamed in terror. I am the messenger of the underworld. Confess how you killed the children, or I'll drag you to hell. He clutched his head, trembling. I threw them to their deaths. How do I know you're telling the truth? I have proof. It's on my computer. With that, he passed out cold. What a coward. After leaving his room, I went to his study. But, as expected, his computer was password protected. I had heard his computer held a lot of important files. Only his sister, Luna, and he knew the password. The next morning, Chris left early for the office, so I went to Luna's place. She was throwing a party at home. She glanced at me once, then ignored me. She and Chris didn't get along well, so naturally, she wasn't fond of me either. If it weren't for Mr. Quinn Sr. insisting they run the company together, she wouldn't even know his computer password. I quietly approached her and said, do you want to secure your spot as the heir? She immediately stopped dancing and had the butler clear everyone out. What do you mean by that? Luna sat down on the sofa, studying me intently. The Quinn family only had her and Chris. Mr. Quinn Sr. had always treated them both well, but there could only be one heir. Chris was the more capable one, and Luna couldn't compete with him. Next month, your father's going to announce the heir. I can help you secure the position if you give me the password to Chris's computer. Why should I trust you? What are you after? She glared at me with disdain. Because Chris killed my 4 children, and I'm going to take my revenge the day the heir is announced. Her eyes widened in shock. I told her everything, and only then did she fully believe me. That bastard, she spat. Yes, I thought, he was a bastard. He had killed my 4 children, and I wasn't going to let him get away with it. After reaching an agreement with Luna, I left her house. Back home, the first thing I did was head to the study and turn on his computer. I plugged in a flash drive. Sure enough, I found evidence of him killing my children. He had even recorded videos. I had no idea why he kept them, but now I finally had the proof I needed. As the video copied over, I was on edge, terrified someone might walk in at any moment. Then suddenly, I heard the door open.